Immigration has always been a big part of our nation's story. For generations, Irish people have left to set up new lives and make their mark all over the world. So much so that there are about 70 million people with Irish roots scattered across the globe. And in 2013, it's up to all of us to invite friends and relatives home for a nationwide celebration of who we are and what we stand for. It's a chance to reunite, to bring us together. It's called The Gathering. In this series, 6 of our best-known immigrants are returning to their roots to do what they can to bring the diaspora back to their home place. They'll reunite with some familiar faces, help bring old friends back together, and send a message to the world asking them to come home. Tonight, Bressie is coming home from London to do his bit for Mullingar in County Westmeath. He'll revisit some old haunts.
Hello, Dec. Where are you?
British Virgin Islands.
British Virgin Islands.
Find out where some of the locals have ended up.
My mum died in 1981 and he hasn't been in Mullingar since.
And put together a personal tribute to his town so he can spread the word about Mullingar to the whole world.
It's a great idea. It's something I'm very proud to be part of. Everyone's organising a gathering. Being from here, I want this to be the best one.
Mullingar in County Westmeath is a town with a population of 20,000, with many more with connections to the place spread all over the world. One of these is musician Niall Breslin, better known as Bressie, who is currently recording his second solo album in West London.
I moved to London about 2.5 years ago. I suppose I wasn't forced to move economically like a lot of people were, but for experience and what I wanted to become and what I wanted to do, this was the place to be. What does happen when you move here, and it happens in Sydney, it happens in, I suppose, New York, Irish people are magnetised towards each other. And they're who you feel most comfortable with. Plus, because there's such a strong Irish foundation from the 70s and 80s, and you go somewhere like Kilburn or Clapham, you do well to find an English person, to be honest. That's London for you.
And Bressie knows that he'll need to tap into this deep-rooted sense of community if he's to succeed in encouraging people to make their way back home.
The gathering is a brilliant start to actually highlight what we have. It's great for people who are from Mullingar but not living there, looking back and saying there's something going on at home. And their family from Mullingar are emailing them and texting them. It gives them a reason now to go, let's go back and check it out.
And that's exactly what's on the agenda for Bressie. As he takes the familiar westbound journey down the N4, the first stop on his return to Mullingar is the family home.
Hello.
Hi, Niall.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm great.
Sure, how you doing? How you doing? What's going on? Living in London's a different thing than living in Sydney or Perth. It's much harder for families.
Still away from home because you're still leaving. You know, families are still being split up.
The longer you are away, the more you start realising how important your hometown becomes. Like, no matter what you say when you move to London, I'm going to go out my way to meet other nationalities. You meet loads of other nationalities, but your core group of friends all seem to be Irish. There's just almost a pack mentality that we have no matter where we've gone. And like, some people think it's a bad thing. I don't see how that's a bad thing.
I remember you saying that when you went first, that you would try not to associate with Irish, to expand out, but now you're doing the reverse.
Well, you start realising you need them. You start realising you're living in an incredibly lonely
roots,
city.
You see, I think everybody needs their home roots, and even the fact that I've lived in Ireland for 40 years. My roots are still in Glasgow, and I when I go home there, I just really feel there's something drawing me to it.
So what exactly are you planning to do in the next few days?
I am basically going to find out who's left, Mullingar, why they've left, and I think see what Mullingar can do, and me personally as well, see what we can do to actually bring them back here.
In sending out his invitation to come home, Bressie wants to reach out to as many people with Mullingar and Westmeath roots as possible. To get a sense of the scale of the migration from his hometown over the years, he's asked local historian Ruth Illingworth to trace the journey of some of his fellow Lake County exiles.
One of the things that makes Mullingar particularly interesting is the emigration to Argentina, and many of them went out to work as sheep farmers. There are a couple of photographs here. This one would have been taken in the late 19th century.
These are all Irish.
These are all of people of Irish birth or descent. Many of these would have had their origins in Mullingar and other parts of Westmeath. We've immigrants to Canada. The earliest records go back to the 1820s. And a century later, in the post-Second World War era, Canada was looking for people to work in mines. And this picture here was taken in the 1950s in Edmonton. These are Westmeath men here.
I have a friend who lives in Edmonton, carpenter in Edmonton, left here. It's the end of the Celtic Tiger. He's married there, he's with kids now.
Yeah.
So he'd be someone I'd be keen on getting back.
The railway station here opened in 1848. This is one of the most historic parts of Mullingar. It's played a huge part in the story of people going from this town. Probably the first passengers to leave here when it opened were people going to a better life in England and in America and other countries. It's a rather poignant place, and of course the story of emigration continued right up to and after the centenary of this station. In fact, in the 1950s, around the time of Queen Elizabeth's coronation, they started to refer to the trains coming up from the west and stopping here as Lizzie's Express, because the trains were all packed day after day with people going to England. Not just individuals, whole families went out.
It's a long history of emigration, and with such a vast population of Mullingar exiles all around the world, the locals want to do what they can to bring them home. So Bressie has come along to the town meeting in Willen to see what's being planned.
The first flag home here was actually in Mullingar in 1963, so this fits in very well that next year will be 50 years. So we're going to actually do a huge cultural and social gathering here in Mullingar, and there's still people, who are at it, who remember it, so we're going to be getting in contact with them and with the musicians then who won back in 1963 and have a reunion of them.
Marty, you might have to speak slower for the non-Mullingar based people listening.
I'm putting a call out to Bruce Springsteen. His great-great-granny is Anne Garrity, came from Rathlone, left Mullingar in 1850 and went to New Jersey and settled there and never moved. So we want him back, we want Bruce back, and then look at the possibility of coming back and doing a gig here, right in the middle of Ireland. Why not centre of Ireland, the hill of Ushnack? So why not? And bring the wife with you as well. Fair play to you, Bruce. This would deemed to be the exact centre of Ireland. So we want to show the diaspora to come back further gathered to the centre of Ireland, where you've been coming for thousands of years.
We were actually not thinking about a festival, but more some sort of a business network, and use the opportunity at the gathering to reach out to the community and say, look, who do you know out there who's maybe in Australia or Britain or America that we could develop trade links with?
The town is named after the left-hand mill, and that goes back to a miracle that St. Coleman would have in the Lynn Monastery, where he turned the mill the opposite side, the left-hand side. There are 600 million people in the world that are left-handed. We're looking to open up Mullingar as a left-hand capital of the world for a week in August in 2013.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I'm pretty sure there's nobody doing anything like that.
I don't think so.
For this festival. These are things that could potentially happen. It's great and it's ambitious and there's a lot of focus and there's a lot of drive. That's the positivity that you need to breed. Everyone's organising a gathering. Being from here, I want this to be the best one.
So there'll be plenty going on in Mullingar, and Bressie wants to make sure that anyone with a connection to the town hears all about it. To get a start on spreading the word, Bressie drops by the 1428 Active Retirement Club on Bishopsgate Street.
You're very welcome to the 1428 Club.
How are you doing?
In the club, Imelda Boylan helps some of the town's senior citizens keep in touch with their loved ones who live overseas.
The club was founded in 1998. And people come in for a chat, a cup of coffee, to come in and do computer courses for beginners.
Betty, do what I do when things like this happen. Just turn it off and turn it back on.
Some of them can't Skype with people abroad in London or something like that.
Skype is brilliant because you can see them.
Yeah. And it works for us free.
Because they're so far away, it's brilliant.
Yes, absolutely. And I often do Skype.
every Sunday morning.
You're in the digital age altogether. It must be quite an emotional experience for them when they actually finally do
Yes, just seeing the person's face live.
Oh, Michael, do you remember me? You used to teach me football. I used to be in goals.
I do indeed, yeah.
A recent convert to Skype is Bressie's old soccer trainer, Michael McGovern. Michael's son, Mike Jr., moved to Houston, Texas 3 years ago, where he now lives with his family. Bressie joins Michael in giving his old teammate an early morning wake-up call in the Lone Star estate.
Hello, Mike. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you awake yet?
Okay.
Do you remember Bressie?
Yep.
Yeah, he's sitting here beside me.
How's it going, Bressie?
How you doing, man? Sorry for getting you out of bed.
It's his fault.
No worries.
How are you, man?
Ah, there you are.
Is there any chance we'll see you back here next year for the gathering? Just for a holiday.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll be back at Christmas time and hopefully in the summer too. Good time to make the breakfast now and listen to Hector.
How many Irish people listen to Hector? It's been good talking to you, man.
Okay.
All right, Bressie.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care now. God bless.
Bye.
Go on.
That's better. Towns like Mullingar and regional towns in Ireland, there's so many things pulling the communities apart, and there's actually things like this that are actually killing themselves to put it back together again. And people like Imelda helping in an environment that isn't in any way condescending with the gathering. Do you anyone that's away from you or in your family?
Yes, my brother left Mullingar in 1974 and he came back at Christmas for a couple of days in 1978, and the year he got married, 1979, for about 3 days. And then my mum died in 1981 and he hasn't been in Mullingar since 1981.
Where's he living?
He's only living in London, Kilburn. Yeah.
5 minutes away from me.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I probably walk past him on
You
the street.
probably do, yeah.
And have you been in London?
I've been in London so many times because my daughter was over there trained to be a nurse, and we walked the streets several times, and we went in and out of pubs, and they'd all say, oh yeah, I know that fella, all right, yeah, I know that fella. If he comes in, I'll tell him that to get in touch with home. There was no fallout, there was no disagreement. He just just didn't get in touch.
You can see it in her. She's definitely emotional about not being able to connect with her brother. And it's her brother at the end of the day, and he only lives how many 100 miles away in an area in London where I live, which I probably have met him, I probably walk past him, you just don't know, and that's the way it is. So I don't think it's going to be too hard to find him.
Tonight, Bressie has returned from London to his native Mullingar to help launch a year-long celebration of Irish culture. He's on a mission to reconnect the town with its emigrants and to pay tribute to his home place by sending out his own invitation to the Irish everywhere to come back home. Sport played a huge part in Bressie's life growing up in Mullingar, and while he was best known as a Gaelic footballer and rugby player, he had a brief stint playing soccer for Mullingar Town FC.
Hey boys.
He's heard that the club has a big reunion coming up.
How are you, man? How are you? What's going on? I'm on that.
And as he revisits Dalton Park, he discovers that the last half a season he played for the under-13s ended rather successfully in his absence.
Talking. That's your medal.
Is that my medal? Amazing.
Yeah. We're giving it to you now.
It's 93. I know the guys down there, and a lot of them I forgot. I knew, and I was like, these are great guys. These are really great personalities that are very well loved in this town, that people would do a lot for.
Mullingar Town won the Glen Abbey Cup, one of the most prestigious prizes in junior soccer in 1973.
This is the team, anyway, 1973.
Good looking lads, weren't you?
That was in Tonkin Park, and the first in the final.
And they've got together for anniversaries of the famous day ever since. With the 40-year mark coming up in 2013, Bressie sees the chance for the biggest celebration the club's ever seen.
What's the kind of idea for the event? Is it kind of a match after 40 years, or are you going to have an event?
Oh yeah, we'll have a match for about 1 minute.
Are you going to actually play?
Oh, we will.
You've got to bring cardiac resuscitation.
We can organise all that, don't worry.
The arrival of his old teammate, John Swabby Swarbrigg, winds back the clock almost 20 years for Bressie as they reminisce about their own glory days in Dalton Park.
Where am I? I can't even figure me out.
I'd say the tall one.
Quite chubby, wasn't he? And that's a terrible haircut as well. You let me walk around with a haircut like that.
Listen to my here.
And the lads decide to give Bressie a hand with his mission to reunite Mullingar town old boys the world over by putting him onto his old skipper, Declan Cassidy.
Hello, Dec. Hi, it's Bressie here. Bressie from the Mullingar under-10 schoolboys soccer team.
Hi, what's the birthday?
How are you getting on? I'm at John Swarbrick here in Mullingar Football Club. We're all here. All the old school. Where are you?
British Virgin Islands.
British Virgin Islands. I was in school with Declan. He's very much a light guy around the town. He was probably the best footballers I've ever played with. We're trying to put an event together to bring all people like yourself back to Mullingar. And we're just trying to get as many people back. So it could be June.
Yeah, I'd say I could make June work, yeah. How's the pitch looking, Bressie?
Pitch looks brilliant. It actually looks amazing. We could organise something pretty cool here.
Absolutely, guys.
Brilliant, man. Well, I can't wait to see you. Sobby says hello and they all say hello.
All the best, Dec.
See you, do.
I'll talk to you later, guys.
I know loads of people like Declan, hundreds even. That he put the call in, they'll come back. He'd come back in a heartbeat, like.
With the promise of a homecoming secured from the Caribbean, Bressie decides to follow up on a story he heard earlier of a Mullingar native who, just like Bressie, left for London but hasn't been home since his mother's funeral over 30 years ago.
Hello, Bressie. How are you?
How are you? How are you keeping you well?
Grand. Come on ahead in.
Cheers.
There was no fallout, there was no row, there was no nothing. And within about a year of my mum's burial, we kind of lost contact with him.
Do you think it was something to do with him losing his mother? Or?
It could have been because the heart goes out of the home when the mother is not there anymore. And there was a recession in the 80s, so it was probably not that easy to come home, we'll say. He probably got wound up in trying to keep a job and trying to keep a home and all that sort of thing.
Is he still married?
Yes.
The kids?
Yeah.
Do you think there's an underlying issue there that he won't come home for?
I would suppose just that Mum was gone and that was it. Yeah, and I was hurt, I was drawn him back, and she used to do all the writing, you know, that time.
Yeah. She would do anything to get him back. And it's just sad to even think that exists when there's no reason for it. They didn't have a fight. They don't hate each other. It's hard to understand.
He did promise me he'd come back, so whether he does or whether he doesn't, I think we probably have to keep on nudging him to come back.
There is people I know who won't come back.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, and they won't tell you why. And the longer you leave it, the more it builds up, and then it becomes an issue.
It's hard to know, really. It's hard to know, you know.
Before he found success as a musician, Bressie was a highly accomplished sportsman, playing football for Westmeath and rugby for Leinster and Ireland.
Hi, Bressie!
Hello.
And his old rugby club on the edge of Mullingar is a place that holds some of the fondest memories of his home place.
How are you, lads? How are you keeping, Chief? How are you? I'm all right.
Get around, will you?
I can remember vividly nearly every game I ever played out there. They're the games I remember the most for some reason. I've had some brilliant days with Leinster, with UCD, and even with the Irish underage level. But we're in the Gael Cup with the Mullingar under-20s. That was the day I remember the most as a rugby player.
Bressie, you want to see this picture out here?
I finally got a Mullingar jersey. Do you reckon we should organise a reunion match for this gathering thing?
I think so.
I think we actually probably beat most of the teams in the league anyway. I feel comfortable with them. I think if you're in a team that's won something like that, or won anything really, that does bond you.
Bressie, just want to introduce the new generation. Where you were.
How are you doing, mate?
Niall.
How are you, Niall? How are you keeping?
Leinster champions, Niall.
What's going on? All right. Under-17s. You guys are bigger than we are now. That's what we should do. You're under-17s against the under-20s team that won the Gael Cup next summer, 2013. You're going to have to forfeit this and play us. That'd be interesting. Are you all up for it? Yeah. You up for it? You got to kill these guys.
With the rugby career resurrected, Bressie's headed back to London to spread the word about the gathering to the Irish community there. And his first job is to meet up with Imelda's brother, Fintan.
Imelda told me that his son works up in a pub just up the road in Hendon, so I'm going to go up and just check it out, have a word with him and see what the possibility of maybe coming home next year for the gathering.
Having lost touch for many years, Fintan and Imelda have been in regular contact lately, although Fintan hasn't set foot in Mullingar since 1981.
Fintan?
Hello.
How you, Bressie here. How you doing? You well?
Fine, yeah. What's the crack?
It's speaking to Imelda,
Yeah,
she said you moved here in the 70s.
In the 70s, yeah.
Yeah, and you've only been home maybe a handful of times.
Just a handful of times, yeah.
But do you have any Mullingar friends that live in London now?
I have 5 or 6, yeah.
Do you? Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
And will they be around the chat or?
Yeah, I'm usually with them once, twice a week.
Do you miss Ireland? Do you actually miss? I mean,
I do, yeah. I get all the Irish papers from back home and that, and I buy all the Irish biscuits and bits and pieces.
With London not being that far away, would you think you go back for the gathering, for the whole idea of the gathering? Right.
I'm planning on going back there with my sons in the new year.
Have they ever been to Ireland?
They've never been to Ireland, no, not yet.
And what age are they?
They're 18 and 25.
And do you think, would they regard themselves as Irish or?
Yeah, they're very much Irish. They'll go to the Irish pubs and clubs here, and they'll be very proud of being Irish.
Great, bring them back to Mullingar.
Got a daughter in Lincoln that just got married, so she's dying to go home and bring the 2 little kids there, you know. She just can't wait.
So it's time for Bressie to launch his campaign to send an invite to the world to come home in 2013. And he's starting with the London Irish community. As training winds down in Kingsbury, Bressie has assembled his fellow exiles from Mullingar and all around to launch his tribute to his hometown.
This whole event.
My name's Anne Daly. I'm from Mullingar. I moved here 5 years ago.
Jim Moore. I'm from Children of Mullingar, County Westmeath. Came over here in 1988.
Thomas Maher is my name. I'm from Terrell's Pass in County Westmeath, and I'm in London now, coming up 10 years.
I'm originally Teresa Reynolds from Dominic Street in Mullingar, and we emigrated here in 1986.
23 years here now. I'm living in Watford for 23 years.
Most people who've emigrated here emigrated in the 70s and 80s. I emigrated 2-3 years ago. The thing that made Ireland great in the first place was never money, it was never the Celtic Tiger, it was our personalities all over the world. So that's what we're trying to highlight. And we made a video of where I'm from Mullingar. It's just to bring people back. It's a great idea, it's something I'm very proud to be part of.
While the London Irish received their invitation, back on Lakeside, the locals have gathered to see Bressie's Welcome to Mullingar go global.
I live in London, but I'll always be from Mullingar, and this is what my town is all about. It's about family.
Hi, Niall.
Hello. How are you, man? Is there any chance we'll see you back here next year for the gathering?
You'll be back at Christmas time and hopefully in the summer too.
It's about catching up with your mates. It's about visiting your favourite restaurants.
Would you like some salt and vinegar?
Yes, please. It's about local heroes.
Sure.
I used to caddy for Joe Dolan. It's about what it means to you.
If you were a stranger in Mullingar and you came down for the weekend, you're going home on your Sunday night, you'd have 3 or 4 new friends because everybody is friendly, everybody says hello, everyone has a smile on their face.
I like people here. It's very good people.
There's a great social life. There's a bit of crack around, you know, that way, so that's what I love about Mullingar.
It's got every single thing that a young man could ask for.
Well, it's home.
They say you should never forget where you come from, and next year it's time we all found our way back home.
On Bishopsgate Street in Mullingar, Imelda Boylan is about to get a surprise personal message.
Hey Imelda, I'm here in the Bowron pub in Hendon in northwest London with somebody you might know.
Hi Imelda, it's your long lost brother Fintan. We're planning on coming home next year and bring the whole family. Hope to see you soon. Bye.
I was shocked. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a great surprise. Great surprise. Oh my God.
It is important because there's people here that are here for 40 years that have never gone home, do you know what I mean?
What would entice me to Westmeath? The lakes, the fun, and possibly not the weather.
When I have kids, I'll bring them back as home as often as I can. I want them to know where I grew up. You know, it's to me, home will always be home.
Still never lose touch with home. You know, home is as you see my t-shirt, is Mullingar, it's Westmeath. Definitely be home for that one, definitely, yeah.
Last time I was in Mullingar was when we just got off the school and the summer holidays. I'm looking forward to going back to Mullingar.
When you actually move away, you really do realise what you miss, and it's an incredible country, and it's got incredible culture, it's got an incredible personality, and the longer you live away and the longer you come to places like this, the more you realise that we're positive people, and we've got great personalities, and it's time that we highlight that now.